everyone, this is Kenyatta again, coming to you with part 2 of my journey to a stylist, my journey to building my brand, Hospitable Beauty. So I left off last video with deciding to go to cosmetology school, and I decided to go to Paul Mitchell, and I got all the paperwork ready, set, ready to go, and it was like day one of my cosmetology journey. Now, I was about 30 when I decided to go to hair school, so I knew it was going to be a little different. Most of the teachers, or the learning leaders, as so they call them, were my age, and I was going to school with teenagers. Some around my age, some teenagers. So I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew it's almost like it felt like high school all over again as I walked in. But what I did was I made up in my mind that I didn't quit my job and go back into school working part-time to not give it my best. So I was focused to learn as much as I could. And that's exactly what I did. I studied. Now, cosmetology school, most people just think of it as that you just do hair. Well, there are tests, there's like projects, there's more to it than just doing hair. You have to take a test weekly, and these are state mandated tests to get your theory hours, and that's to know the theory behind hair when it comes to color, scalp, skin. You know, you're dealing with the public, and you have to be able to identify things that could be contagious. So it's not an outbreak of some contagious disease or infection, or just running rampant throughout from just touching people. So there's tests that you have to take. There's like homework, there's studying. There's one thing called boxes. You have to get your boxes. So every month you had a certain amount of things you had to do, whether it was a certain haircut, a color service, and some of them you were practicing on mannequins or on real people. So there was so much more to it, and I heard people say, like, if I knew it was gonna be this hard, I would have went to college, because if you take it serious, there's a lot to learn, and I feel like some stylists don't take the time to learn that, but me, I wanted to know properties of the hair and scalp. There's an anatomy chapter. There's a science chapter. There's an electricity chapter, when we're plugging things in, all that stuff. So I had in my mind that I was going to excel, and I never failed a test. I was like, I never want to fail a test. I never failed a test. I did miss a few days, because it got to be a lot. But I never failed a test. I completed my boxes. I built up a clientele. I called, my friends, my family. Hey, I'm doing hair now. I'm ready. And this is after, you go through different stages. But my time in cosmetology school, it was a little challenging. When you have a goal, sometimes people think it's like up here, and some people will judge you for wanting things and doing things a certain way. People will be jealous, envious. Why did she get picked for this, or why did she get picked for that? I got awards, and I'm not the only one. But at the beginning of my journey, I was very motivated and just ready to take on this lifelong dream that I had. So that's kind of where it all, like, this transformation, it happened. Being someone who was older, a person of faith, I don't talk like everybody. I don't dress like everybody. I don't act like everybody. So it was somewhat of a lonely journey sometimes. I did have lots of fun. I met some great people, and I learned a lot. It opened doors that I wouldn't have had before, or had I not decided to step out on faith to go to school. So much you can learn, and there's things that you can choose not to. I learned a little bit about myself, things that irk me, going to school, being around a bunch of females all over again. I learned a thing or two about my patience, and also I feel like I was there to encourage people too, to keep people motivated, just like others kept me motivated on this journey. I knew when it was time for me to take a break from going from full-time school with everything I had in my personal life to going to part-time school. You just have to know, just have to know you and what's best for you. Um, so it takes about a year and a half. It's about a year and a half, year and a half, depending if you go full-time or part-time, to get your license. A certain amount of hours that you need, and then a test that you have to take. And if you fail any test during the course, during your time there, you have to get a certain, on certain class courses, tests, you have to get a certain grade. Um, One, I like passed just by like a point, but I was okay with that, you know. I had a high goal and I feel like I achieved the goal, but I had to give myself mercy and grace to kind of get through it. Um, but it took me about a year and a half to finish. Like I said, I got awards. I did butt heads with a few. Nothing too major, nothing that serious. But in all, I saw the favor of God. I remember a time when I was working, well, part time, and sometimes part time is just not enough. But with God, it was enough. I would have that like, oh, I could use a couple extra dollars this week or this month, and I don't want to have to bother my husband about it. But I was like, I got this. And then that one client who tips you $20 books her appointment. You're like, thank God. Like, you think $20 is nothing, but tend to get some gas in your car, last you a few days. Tend to get you lunch. And not to say that I wasn't in need of anything. That's what I could say. I didn't. We had food. Our bills were paid, but you know sometimes you want that cushion to get you over, just to feel comfortable. And this was a test of my faith, my walk with God, my endurance, my perseverance, my strength, my a lot. Um, but 5 years later, I look back like I did it. It seems like it just happened. It was here and it was gone in a matter of months, it feels like, but it's been 5 years. Um, and I did it. I did it. And then I got my first job. Just before I graduated, I got my first licensed job, I should say, um, at a hair salon that I used to get my hair done at. Um, the way it just worked out, the pieces of the puzzle, like, and how it worked out, you know that there was a greater hand in it than me. Um, so I got through cosmetology school. I made some friends, made some not so friends, learned a lot, took so much with me. I had a goal and I achieved it. I did have to take a longer route because I needed time, but take your time. Take your time, figure things out, but keep going. And I'm here to tell you today that I'm a licensed stylist for 5 years now. I've worked independently for the last 2 years, and I've written a book about hair care. You couldn't tell me 6 months ago that this was going to happen, let alone 5 years ago when I quit my job to go to hair school, that this was going to happen. But in a nutshell, that was it. And then I will share my first licensed salon experience with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I covered kind of everything. My memories just kind of go and I go into la la land, but this is part 2. Next part will be up soon. Thank you.